Did you know? EarthBound creator Shigesato Itoi personally wrote every line of dialogue in the script of EarthBound excluding Moonside. Itoi didn't know how to use computers at the time, and so he actually spoke each line aloud, often letter by letter, as a staff member would type it out. He would then observe the reaction of the transcriber to determine if the line was good or not. Itoi stated he didn't think the game would have turned out the same way had he done it all himself. Many fans are aware EarthBound takes place in a fictional area called Eagle Land, which is often thought to be a satirized version of the United States. However, in an interview with Weekly Famitsu, Shigesato Itoi stated that Mother is not necessarily set in America, but that the game is supposed to have an international feel. This is why many characters in the series hail from different cultures. The original Japanese Mother 2 has content that was altered in EarthBound to remove references to Western pop culture, mostly because of legal concerns. Mother 2 features a delivery truck with the word "come" on the side and a white underline with a swirl. This is often thought to resemble the logo for Coca-Cola. In EarthBound, the logo was altered and instead features a running stickman. The Runaway Fives in EarthBound were originally called the Tanzura brothers and wore all black suits. This was changed in EarthBound because the localization team felt the characters too closely resembled the Blues Brothers. One alteration in the original Mother to the NES EarthBound prototype is of two non-playable characters. These characters were found by the localization team to closely resemble characters from the American comic strip Peanuts, Marcy and Pigpen to be specific. In an interview with LostLevels.org, Nintendo of America's EarthBound producer Phil Sandhoff had this to say about the Peanuts reference. "I don't believe that the game was meant to directly copy Peanuts, but that's what the designers knew the typical Japanese game player would perceive to be a typical American boy growing up outside a small town." The music in EarthBound is well known for its homages to Western artists and compositions. The trumpet player in Winnet will play the melody of Dvorak's Symphony No. 9, Movement 2. The music that plays during a battle with a weak opponent sounds almost note for note like the song Tequila by the Champs. Famously, the battle music that plays while fighting Frank or a hippie contains an unquestionable nod to the opening of Johnny Be Good by Chuck Berry. The American National Anthem can be heard distorted in the background during segments of the music in Moonside. The Megaton Walk track from Dungeon Man features a drum beat that sounds remarkably similar to a segment from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. These samples in the music of EarthBound later caused controversy for Nintendo of America when the company tried to approve the game for digital distribution on the Wii's Virtual Console. One of the original composers for EarthBound, Hirokazu Tanaka, mentioned in an interview with OneUp.com that the sampling issue is a little sensitive because, well, I don't know for sure. But it sounds like this is one of the reasons EarthBound is not able to come out in America. EarthBound was finally approved for re-release at the end of 2013 for the Wii U Virtual Console. During the announcement on Nintendo Direct, Nintendo President Satoru Iwata mentioned the overwhelming fan outcry was the main reason for the release. The EarthBound series has a wide variety of unused and cut content within the data of each game. In EarthBound, the town of Threed has two NPCs that were originally going to appear after the player defeats Master Belch. By modifying data values, the characters can be reinserted into the game. The first is actually very important to the game's plot. It's a detective that explains how the Mani Mani statue wound up in Fourside. The second is a character that can normally only be seen while riding the bus from Threed to Fourside. An unused item called Video Relaxing can still be found in the game's files. It has no function, and the description of the item reads, "What the hey is this?" The party member Pooh has an unused jumping animation, and the character Everdread has an unused ghost sprite similar to a playable party member's, which suggests Everdread was going to be a party member at some point during development. EarthBound's successor, Mother 3, has inaccessible content in the final version of the game. In the Toilet Dungeon in Chapter 8, 2 rooms are fully designed but can only be accessed with the use of a cheating device. The first is a bathroom with an overflowing toilet, and the second is a bathroom filled with a giant pile of toilet paper. Mother 3 also had an unused boss battle that could be accessed using a cheat device. The boss appears to change form several times, even taking on a the likeness of the main story character, Klaus. The game has an unused battle action called Consider and an unused stat, Kindness. 3 enemies can also be found in the game's data that were absent from the final game. And lastly, a series of cutscenes can be found in the game's data that were never used in the final game's story. One scene features a flying interpreter moving around in the sky, another shows a flashback of the twins playing together, which was possibly going to be used near the end of the game. Another flashback features the twins fighting each other, with Klaus pushing Lucas down before their father intervenes. And the final unused cutscene features a flashback of Lucas and Klaus in a field with their mother. Throughout the development of the series, several EarthBound projects were planned and even partially developed but were ultimately scrapped. The first scrapped project was a sequel to Mother 2 that began its development for the Super Famicom. Development later shifted to the Nintendo 64 disk drive. The developers had planned to use features of the disk drive such as the internal clock and the ability to draw on the faces of the characters. After the failure of the disk drive, development shifted to a regular Nintendo 64 cartridge. The game suffered multiple delays and was eventually cancelled. Shigesato Itoi explained that the ambition of the project was too large and the development team were too inexperienced with 3D game development. Eventually, the remnants of the game were gathered up and converted into Mother 3 for the Game Boy Advance. At some point in the Nintendo 64 version of Mother 3's development, an expansion pack known as Mother 3.5 was also planned. Not much is known about this expansion pack other than just simply that it existed and that it was going to be an expansion pack. Another EarthBound project was something Itoi came up with while developing the Nintendo 64 iteration of Mother 3. In the November 1996 issue of 64 Dream, Itoi mentioned, "I wanted to make a Mr. Saturn action puzzle game. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the game will ever come to be." In an interview with Nintendo President Satoru Iwata, Shigesato Itoi announced that he was finished with the Mother series and was happy with the 3 games as they are. That's all for today, but don't forget to subscribe to DidYouKnowGaming and follow DidYouKnowGaming on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you also check out DidYouKnowGaming.com, and if you like this video, check out our others. Also check out my channel, Chuggaaconroy. I do various videos, mostly Let's Play videos, of anything from Pokemon to Kid Icarus to Sonic to Okami, all kinds of things like that.